The frontman re-entering the games on Squid Games was not a side quest. It was the actual real main quest and the main thing we should all be thinking about. Now, what is up, winning team? Hello, everybody. Welcome or welcome back. And we're going to be talking about this. I know it's been ages since Squid Game came out, but you guys know I can't stop thinking about games, the game of life and the game of everything. And I was thinking about the frontman because, there's this kind of funny thing that we all recognize that, the front man in the most recent series of Squid Game was basically doing everything other than being the front man. Or so it seemed. And I feel like people have actually missed something that I find so fascinating. And I just wanted to share with you guys to get your thoughts and theories and comments about it. Because I honestly think what he's doing is I feel like his character is so undervalued. Right, so let me just get into my thoughts on the whole thing. So basically, you guys must have seen Squid Games. If you haven't, I say must have. I hate when people say that in videos because a lot of times people are like, everybody's seen such and such. I usually haven't when people say that. But for those of you who have or haven't, whatever, I hope that everybody has an idea. I'm not going to get into the games because it's going to take really long to explain, but essentially everybody enters into something. They have to do a bunch of games. Whoever remains by the end takes all the money. Everybody else has to, along the way, ends up dead, eliminated, which they then find out is dead. And then in the season 2, we've had the guy who won from before decides to come back into the game. Not only does he, but the front man, so the guy who kind of runs the games, who organizes the VIPs who come and watch and all this stuff, he also enters the game. So the front man who runs the game, he enters in as number 001, and the guy who won the previous time enters the game as 426, the famous one from Squid Game. Now, the interesting things about this is that the front man had obviously also been in the games before and won. So that's what I want to start with the starting point about, because I believe that the front man, obviously, is in a position that nobody else in the show is in other than 426. And not even quite 426. He's actually in a position nobody else is in. And this is why I kind of really love his perspective. Because think about it like this. He's been in the game and he's now running the game. So he's been on the situation where he was the person that was recruited, that was in a tough spot. Because I believe this whole show is a metaphor for society, by the way. But he was picked up because they all got picked up because they were in some kind of financial trouble. Either they were really poor, either they were in debt or something, whatever. Right? Owing somebody money, whatever. That's how they got caught. So these are all vulnerable people that were in desperate need for some reason or another to have some money, right? And so he would have been picked up for one of those kinds of reasons, obviously. I think it had something to do with his wife. I can't remember the whole story now, but that's not the most important thing. The long and short of it is he had a good reason for joining the game. Then he's in the game, then he wins the game. So now he knows, because when they went to the game, they don't know that other people are going to have to die, which is one of the things I love about the game, the Squid Games, is because I feel like it reveals the truth about human nature, that humans are prepared to do a lot more than you think. And we only really know what anybody's prepared to do when people are actually pushed in the actual scenario. It's easy for us all to say, oh, we would always all share, we'd always all this. If you've seen Beast Games, again, we saw that same situation play itself out many, many times, where so-called noble people, when given the opportunity, with Jimmy screaming $1 million, are ready to turn on everyone. So that's one of those things where I'm saying I love these types of shows, because I just feel like human beings and society in general, everybody likes to think they're way more good than they really are. I'm just keeping it real. I'm just keeping it honest, right? We should all just humble ourselves. That's what I try to do. That's why I tell you guys, don't look up to me. I'm just a girl. You know what I'm saying? What was I saying? Yeah, so he obviously now has seen what the games are. He goes through the games. He becomes the front man, which I don't know what that process is, but I assume they whoever the they is behind it, all the VIPs, whatever, it makes sense for somebody who's been in the games to then run the games. And it's just kind of a sick, twisted thing, right? The guards that do the shooting, they also all have these kind of complex pasts. They were also kind of vulnerable. The guy who then ends up shooting himself, he's one of my favorite characters, the one who goes around with the bread or the money. He also was recruited, and he's kind of psycho. They're all kind of psycho. And the reason why I think they all kind of act the way that they do, it's an undertone of the show that gets missed, that I think the front man is the last remaining person with the hope, and maybe 426, and I think he's hoping in 426, is that they've all accepted that human beings are just despicable creatures at the end of the day, and given the right opportunities, whether it's the VIPs who have all these rich folks who are paying money for whatever reason to come and watch the games, right? I think they bet on it and stuff. I don't know. We're going to learn more about the VIPs in the next part. or whether you're the contestant willing to allow the person that you've been calling your best friend throughout the whole last 2 weeks to die for the sake of you. It's revealing that at the end of the day, human beings are innately selfish. And this is something I've said to you guys before, that I believe that the thing about us and humans as our flesh is that we are inherently selfish. And then I don't say that for people to feel bad about themselves. I say that we need to be self-aware, that sometimes when we are doing things, we need to be aware that we have that tendency, so that we can make sure that when it's a good time to be selfish, as in if you're protecting your own family, your loved ones, or even yourself for mental health, it's important to be selfish to an extent. But then also we're a society, and what all of our actions and everything we do affects everyone. So let's be wary of the fact that whatever we do, it's going to affect everybody, right? So that's what I'm saying, is that we have to be aware of our nature, not to feel bad about yourself, not to go away and be like, oh my gosh, I'm a human and whatever, but to just be aware, right? Because that's what I have to do. I do that with myself. I'm like, am I being unnecessarily selfish here? Maybe yes, maybe no. You know what I mean? Maybe I need to be more selfish in some situations, and maybe I need to be less. But that's what I think they realize, and that people will do whatever it comes down to for money, and that money is the real God. And I've said this to you guys, I believe money is the God of this world. I believe money is the God of this world. I believe that's why we're seeing all these corruption. People be like, why would these people in the entertainment industry, these rich, famous people, why would they do all these heinous things? They do heinous things because they have to do heinous things in order to get the money. That's what Squid Game is teaching you, and that's the message that people miss. When people are asking questions like, why would Diddy do this? Why would Jeffrey Epstein do that? Why would these people in these positions do these things when they have all the money and power? Why would they ruin it? Because they are used to having to do heinous things to get their money, because that's how people get rich, is because that's the truth of the underlying tones of what I'm trying to say the front man is saying. So I think that the front man is so obsessed with the reason why his quest is actually the main quest and not the side quest of the whole show so far, is because he is focusing on 426, because he wants to see if 426 is going to be able to do what he wasn't able to do. And he's testing 426's morals, which other people have picked up on. So 001, who's the front man, he purposely throughout was doing things to test to see what 426 was and wasn't prepared to do. Is he prepared to let some couple of people die for the sake of the grander scheme, because he was somebody who felt like nobody should have to die, right? So then he's testing his boundaries, he's testing his morals. He's like, are you as noble as you think you are? So the front man was actually front manning from the front lines. That's what I think people have missed. So that's what he was doing, because as far as he knows how the games have gone, because the games have been going, and we know that this isn't the first time. When the last time in the season 1, we know that wasn't the first of the games, right? We know that this has happened before. So what that's telling us is that he, the front man, potentially is trying to say, is there a point where the person who wins actually can turn out to be a good person or whatever, or what is it? You know, he's trying to wrap his head around it. And that's why I think it's so fascinating. And I think he's actually on the main quest and not the side quest, because technically speaking here, in any given moment, you've got the people who are desperate to do anything for money, who have overestimated themselves and overestimated their goodness, right? They think, oh, you know, I wouldn't do this, I wouldn't do that, I wouldn't turn on a friend, I wouldn't turn on a family member. But we see little cracks and little things happen, even with even in the second season. I'm so glad I remember they like to do these random pairs, and I think they do it on purpose again to depict how people behave differently, right? So one of the pairs that was in the show was a mother and a son who both ended up in there. And there was one time where the son had rushed to get into a box and had actually left his mother. And there was like this quiet moment. It was when they were doing the like, is it called a carousel? I never know the names of things, but I think it was a carousel. And then they all had to, then it would stop and then a number would pop up and they'd all have to get that number of people inside a room with a door before the time ran out. Otherwise everybody else is going to be eliminated. So there was one of those times where it happened, and she was always with her son, but for some reason he ditched her, but she found somebody anyway, but he left her. And there was like a kind of pause of silence, right? When they finally reunited, and his mom kind of goes, oh, I'm so glad that we were both able to find somewhere to go, like to kind of brush it off. But the undertones, and again, this is what we do as humans. You see that little moment of silence. You know when people say like the silence was loud? It's one of those silent moments that realistically speaking was still ringing and is still ringing on, even in my mind after the fact. And hence why I'm talking about it, where it's like in the moment, instinctually, he did leave his mother, right? So people, and this is what I'm saying about the main quest of the front man, is he's actually assessing and highlighting to all of us and also to the people in the show the truths about human nature, right? And that's why I think he plays the like, oh yeah, number 426, whatever you say, man, I'll support you. You know what I mean? Because he's like, what can we do? What kind of leader are you going to be? How are you going to stand up for your morals? Because you've gotten all this money. You said you barely could spend it because it feels like blood money, because it is blood money. Bearing in mind, like I said, the people in the games are being tested. The people, the VIPs, they know what they're doing and why they're there and why they're doing it. So they're not questioning. They've given into it. So I'm saying to you guys again about people in the world, that you see all of these situations that happen in society and all these people that get away with all these heinous things. You wonder why all these heinous people do these heinous things and get away with it. Yeah, because they've given themselves into it. They know what they're doing. They know that this is how they achieve their money, power, and fame, by doing heinous things. So of course they do it. And then you, the person who's on the side of like the people in the show itself, are wondering, oh my gosh, if I had an opportunity to get this money, it would be so good, but I'm sure I would stick to my morals and values. And what you don't realize is these same things that you want from the people who have those things you want, the temptation trio of the devil, money, power, and fame, the very thing that they did to get there was go against their morals and values. And hence, I believe the front man is trying to test, is his name Jae-hoon in the show? I can't remember. 426's morals and values, to see, like, the front man is now like, is there any hope in humanity? Because that's what I actually think is the undertones of the question, the elephant of the question in the room of all of Squid Games is, are there any people who are strong enough in their morals to hold up to them even to the point of death? And that's why I'm a believer of Jesus Christ, because Jesus died on his morals and values, and he defeated death in doing so, because he never wavered and he never changed his mind and he never faltered because of any other temptation or anything else. He stuck to the course and he stuck to his morals till the very death, and hence why he defeated death. So I kind of feel like the underlying question inside of all of the Squid Games is like, is there anyone who's really willing to stand on their morals no matter what the cost? Is there? Because again, you can look at from the other side, from 426's side, he's like, well, he's trying to say, well, there might need to be some casualties in order for us to be able to take down the overall organization. Maybe we need to remove some people or let some people die in order for the greater good of all people. But then here's again, when we start to enter into those doors, who then gets to be the judge and juror of who the people are and who the people are not? They get to be saved, who doesn't deserve to be saved, etc., etc. Who gets to be the judge and jury of when too many people have died for the sake of this cause, or not enough people, we can still allow a few more people to die for the cause. Who gets to play judge and jury? All of this points to why I believe in God, by the way, and why I believe he's the only just judge and the only person we can trust in, because he's the only person outside of all of this that can do things fairly. But this is what I realized is why I don't think the front man is just on some kind of side quest. He's on the main quest. His main quest now is, he knows the system. He knows how this thing goes. He knows every year what's going to happen. People are going to come in. They're not going to know that they're going to die. They're going to fight anyways to the death once they realize, because they're desperate for the money and they dingle dangle the money. This is what I love. And it's exactly what Mr. Beast did. And he knew what he was doing when he did the Beast Games, right? You have the money right there in front of people, money that people can see. So it's not something that's behind you. It's something that's in front of you that you can attain, right? And when you have something like that, it's the temptation element. And the temptation is what brings people to do the things that they don't think that they would have been able to do. It's similar to it was the lottery ticket actually in the first episode, right? Where the guy who's my favorite character, the one who goes around, I can't remember what his title is, the one who goes around, the recruiter, and he gives people, you can have this bread or you can have the lottery ticket, right? And there's a whole bunch of, again, so many thoughts. And I did a whole video anyways about that, anymore videos. It's like, do you choose the bread or do you choose the lottery ticket? Some people say choose the bread because you know you're definitely going to eat, and taking the lottery ticket isn't smart. But then there's like the temptation of the lottery ticket, right? Because then if you do win with the lottery ticket, then it might be worth it because you might be able to get more than the bread. You know what I'm saying? And so it's just so interesting, all of it. And I just thought people missed it. That's why I'm curious also to see what his name is Jae-hoon, isn't it? Is it Jae-hoon or Jae-hoon? Or I'm not sure. I'm not going to try and say it because I don't want to I don't want to butcher anybody's names. But yeah, that's what I think. That's why I think he wasn't on a side quest. He's very much on the main quest. The front man was the main quest of Squid Games season 2. Anyways, you guys, that's all I have to say. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below, because if life is a game, it's played to win. God bless you all. God loves you. I love you. And see you in the next one.